Hello and welcome to our Wise Kids Chapel. So, all of the students here from different levels, we again would like to welcome you. So, very obvious naman ang ating topic ngayon, and that is on courage. Marami sa atin, we know that we have that certain courage or tapang, pero let's clarify what courage is. Let's start with a quote from Winston Churchill, one of the most courageous leaders in the world. In fact, siya lang yung isa sa mga nag-stand against Hitler noong mga panahon na si Hitler talagang nagpapasikat pa at nagsisimula sa kanyang world conquest. Pero he was one of the leaders who stood up. He is the um, Prime Minister of England. He said, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen." So there are two sides to courage. One is you need to stand up. The other is sometimes we also need to stand down. Now, courage. Ano ba ang courage? What is it? This is a definition from Cambridge Dictionary. It says, courage is the ability to control your fear in a dangerous situation or a difficult situation. The key word here is the ability to control your fear. We will always be in a dangerous, difficult, or stressful situation. So the question is, how will you control that fear? In fact, meron akong naalala na acrostic about fear. F-E-A-R. To those of you who are writing it, ito yun. F-E-A-R or fear. Kumbaga, ito yung iniisip natin na pwedeng maging idea na kung ano yung takot, no? False evidence appearing real. Again, let me repeat. False evidence appearing real. Parang minsan, we are taking a bath and then may nakapa tayo na parang bukol sa likod, iniisip natin cancer agad yun. Ayun mo pala, it's only a pimple. Now, here are some 6 attributes of courage for us to help define what courage is. Number 1, it's feeling fear yet choosing to act. Yung sinasabi kanina ni Winston Churchill, the ability to stand up and to sit down. So you choose to act, whether you sit or you stand up. Whatever your choice, that will be valid for you in that situation. And you are the one who will judge whether okay ba yung ginawa mo. Another is following your heart. Where does your heart lead you? Where does it lead you towards your direction or destiny? Ano bang gusto mong gawin? Ano ba yung course na you would like to choose when you go to college? Ano ba yung gusto mong kainin? Sometimes, di ba, it takes a lot of following of the heart. Another is persevering in the face of adversity. You have an adversity. You have a challenge. So what do? You never stop. That's what you call perseverance. You never stop. Another is standing up for what is right. Historically, there are so many people who stood up for what is right. Ang ating poster boy sa Pilipinas would be Jose Rizal, di ba? He stood up against all of the atrocities na ginawa ng mga Espanyol, di ba? Tinayuan niya. Pero internationally, there are so many people who have stood up for what is right. You have Gandhi in India. You have I forgot the name of that leader in South Africa, no? Mamaya maalala ko. Pero he's one of those who really stood up for what is right. Dito sa Pilipinas, you have Ninoy Aquino. Ang dami, di ba? Who stood up for what is right. Another is expanding your horizons. Yung mga panahon dati ng mga conquistadors, particularly the Portuguese and the Spanish, they were the ones who circumnavigated the world kasama yung mga British. So, unahan sa paghahanap ng mga bagong horizons. Some of them nag-fear, but some of them fought for what is right. So, talagang naghanap sila ng mga bagong places to look at. Another is facing suffering with dignity or faith. Ito, it's something that we need to look at. Kasi sometimes we don't see suffering as part of our journey in life. Now, to clarify more our definition of what courage is, I would like you to watch this video.
Hi, Dave Kovar here. Today I wanted to talk to you about what it means to have courage. When we think of courage, often images might come to mind of great battles or daring feats, and these things certainly can take courage. But remember, true courage isn't fearlessness, it's overcoming fear. It is doing what you know is right, even if it's not popular. Watch this next scene and tell me if you see courage being demonstrated.
Just do it. Don't be a chicken. Yeah, we'll tell him it's an accident. Come on, he's scared. I'm not chicken. I'll do it.
What do you think? Did Alex demonstrate courage or not? Some of you might think that he did because he accepted a dare, but it wasn't courage that got him to throw the ball as much as it was fear. Fear of standing up to his friends and saying, no, I'm not going to do that. Let's watch that scene again and see how Alex handles it this time.
Just do it. Don't be a chicken. Yeah, we'll tell him it's an accident. Come on, he's scared. Are you kidding? I'm not crazy. Forget it. You really are chicken. Let's just get back to the game.
Now that was courage. That time Alex stood up for himself and did what was right. It wasn't easy, but because he did so with all the confidence he could muster up, his friends let it go. Was Alex afraid to stand up to them? I'm sure he was, but he did it anyway, and in the process he demonstrated courage. Remember, there are lots of ways you can demonstrate courage every day. You can do so by raising your hand in class, sticking up for classmates when they need it, or trying something new, even if you might look silly. So the next time you find yourself in a situation like Alex, take a deep breath and then do the right thing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
That is what courage is. And that is what Wise Kids is all about. Teaching the right courage. Ano ba yung tamang tapang? Well, true courage is overcoming fear. Yung bully na kanina na friend ni Alex was trying to force him to do something that will hurt others. So he chose the right path and he overcame his fear. And that is what you call courage. If you stand up against those people who gives threat, and you stand for what is right, then I believe that in my heart that you will indeed be blessed by the Almighty God. Nelson Mandela, yon kanina, si Nelson Mandela, sabi niya, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. What is the kind of fear that you need to conquer? So let's ponder on this question. Think of a situation you are currently facing that creates stress, fear, or anxiety. What are you most afraid of? Ano ba yung kinakatakot mo? Another is, how will you face a very fearful situation? How will you do that? This video will inspire us to face sometimes our greatest fear, and I hope that it will inspire you.
Dear Lord, the battles we go through in life.
Dear Lord, the battles we go through in life.
We ask for a chance to despair.
We ask for a chance to despair.
A chance to earn all our stripes.
A chance to earn all our stripes.
A chance to do it or dare.
A chance to do it or dare.
If we should win,
We should win.
let it be by the code.
Let it be by the code.
With our faith and honor held high.
With our faith and honor held high.
If we should lose,
We should lose.
let us stand by the road.
Let us stand by the road.
Cheers and victories go by.
Cheers, victory go by.
Just in a matter of seconds, I went from independent to dependent. I couldn't feel a thing. You know, something I've always done my whole life is just stay positive, stay calm. I just started to cry, and that's when they put me to sleep. I'm not going to be part of the 97% that doesn't recover from this.
A little farther. Good.
I'm going to do what I can to beat it. I had to relearn how to move different parts of my body with what was connected. To be upright, to be standing, was like a sense of freedom. And when I met Emily, everything changed. It was love at first sight for me.
I had a list of what do I want in a guy. And I'm like, whoa, Chris is every single one of these.
I just started verbalizing with my friends that I want to walk across the stage of my college graduation.
At this point, we had no idea how he was going to walk across the stage. He was walking in this big walker. He was working 4 or 5 hours every single day, sometimes even more. Chris had another little plan that I didn't know about.
Please, marinate share this my life.
What was incredible was that the person that was going to walk me across the stage would be my fiance, Emily. I went into that graduation walk knowing I busted myself for years. If I trip and fall, so be it.
Christopher Norton.
You can do a little bit more, a little extra on everything that you do, what you're supposed to do. That's when you can make the most significant impact and the biggest difference. I want to be able to walk Emily down the aisle of our wedding. I'm going to walk her down the aisle some way, somehow, and we're going to go 7 yards. And I want to walk with her side by side. I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Okay, what if that kind of fear will affect you when you stand up? That's why in this video, what we have learned is true courage is overcoming all obstacles and excuses. This is a quote from Mary Ann Radmacher. She said, "Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the little voice at the end of the day that says, I'll try again tomorrow." Say it with me. I will try again tomorrow. And that is a show of what you call courage. Now, let me share to you a Bible story of a woman who showed courage, needed courage in a time of a sinful and fearful situation in Israel. And the name of that woman is Queen Esther. Let's watch this video.
Jesus has many wonderful things he wants to teach us, all of which we find in the Bible. After Leo inherited his grandfather's old Bible, do you think he and his friends want to find out more about what is in this book? Can they find something here that can help them too, as Grandpa experienced?
Hi, have you started already? I didn't want to leave school until my big sister was ready to come with me.
You just made it. We weren't going to begin without you.
Now we are going to spin the Wheel of Fortune.
I think it will be yellow. I bet it will be blue.
Thanks.
There you go.
And it's page 1364.
Something is underlined here.
Yes, it's written here. Do not be anxious about anything, but bring everything on your heart to God. Pray and call on him with thanksgiving.
There were several words I didn't understand.
Don't be anxious. Does it mean to not be afraid? What else was there? Bring everything on your heart to God. Pray and call on him with thanksgiving.
You're quite right. Not to be anxious is the same as not being afraid of what is going to happen or how to get something done. Everything that I have in my heart, what I think about, I can tell God and Jesus about. Then we do not have to worry about things. We trust Jesus that everything will turn out well. Jesus loves to help us. The Bible is full of stories of people who have asked God for help and received it. Now you're going to hear the story of a very special lady. Her name is Esther. In a country called Persia, there once lived a king. He wanted a beautiful queen. It was therefore decided that all the most beautiful young women in the country should be sent to the castle. Then the king could choose a wife. In the castle, where the beautiful women were to live, a man named Mordecai worked. He was a Jew, but had come to the country as a prisoner of war. He worked in the castle, and he was a good man. Mordecai had a young cousin who became an orphan as a child. She was named Esther and had grown up with Mordecai. He was very fond of her and treated her like a daughter. Now Esther had become a young and very beautiful woman, and she was one of those who moved into the castle so that the king could meet her. Before she left, Mordecai asked Esther not to tell anyone that she was a Jew. In Persia, it was dangerous to say you were a Jew, and Mordecai didn't want Esther to be hurt. Esther had become a wise lady, and she did not reveal to anyone that she was a Jew. There were a lot of new things she had to learn in the castle, and she could easily have been scared of what awaited her. But Esther believed in God and knew that she could pray to him for help and advice. The ladies of the castle were to visit the king one by one. When it was Esther's turn, she was dressed in the finest clothes, and she was amazingly beautiful when she went in to see the king. He immediately fell in love with her, and soon after, he chose her to be queen. Becoming a queen was a great task and honour, but it was also a little scary, because a queen always had to behave just right, or else she could be punished. It was the king who had all the power. Many important people worked in the castle. The most important of them was a man named Haman. He had a lot of power, and the king relied heavily on him. The others in the castle, and in the palace where Esther had lived, were probably a little afraid of Haman. No one would speak to him, and if he passed them, they would bow as deeply as they could. Haman passed by where Mordecai worked. Since Mordecai was a Jew, he believed in God and would not therefore bow to Haman as if Haman were a god. Haman immediately noticed this and became very angry. In fact, he became so angry that he decided to punish Mordecai. But he decided he would not just punish Mordecai, but all Jews throughout Persia. So he made a plan to get the king to kill all the Jews throughout the great kingdom. He went in to see the king and said, "In your kingdom live a people who keep to themselves. They have other laws than all other peoples, and they do not obey the king's laws." Haman made the king believe that the Jews did not obey the laws of the land and that they would cause trouble. Kings could not accept such a thing at that time. The king therefore wrote a law that all the Jews in the kingdom should be killed, and that it should happen on a certain day quite soon. When Mordecai heard this news, he was completely distraught. The other Jews also heard about it, and everyone cried and prayed to God. Soon Queen Esther also heard about it. She sent her servant to talk to Mordecai, and Mordecai asked the servant to tell the queen that she had to go to the king and ask for mercy for the Jews. "No, I can't," Esther said. "Everyone knows that if anyone enters the king's rooms without being invited, then they're killed, even the queen. Only if the king reaches out his golden rod do you get to live." But Mordecai pleaded with Esther again, saying, "If you do not go into the king, you will have to die anyway, for all Jews will be killed, and you are also a Jew. Maybe you became queen just for this moment, to save your people." Then Esther realized that she had to be brave. Maybe God would use her to save the Jews. She asked Mordecai to gather all the Jews in the city, and that for 3 days and nights they should pray to God that he would save them and let them live. Esther would do the same in the castle. Then after 3 days, she would go in to see the king. On the 3rd day, Esther put on her finest clothes. Then she went to the king's castle. Maybe the king would get angry, maybe not. Now she had prayed to God for 3 days, and she knew that God was with her and would help her. She continued to walk until she stood before the king's throne. She waited. The king smiled at her and held out his gold rod. Esther came forward and touched the staff. She was allowed to live. In the days that followed, Queen Esther met the king several times. And finally, she explained to the king what misfortune the Jews had come to, and that she too could be killed because of the law Haman had made the king decide. The king was completely horrified. He had no idea what he had done. He asked Esther for help in making a new law, a law that saved the Jews. The vicious Haman received the most severe punishment, and Mordecai was hired as the king's chief servant. The fact that Queen Esther prayed to God was what gave her strength to save her people.
She was so brave.
Or maybe she wasn't really that brave by personality, but she prayed to God and he made her brave.
She prayed to God, and God made her brave. Well, that is one of the reasons why we become more courageous. Now, true courage is believing that God can still make a miracle in hopeless times. It is believing that God can still do something in impossible times. So for our memory verse, here is the insight for today. Be strong, do not fear, for God is with us. If you have situations that are fearful, don't forget God is with us. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous, do not fear, for the Lord is with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. And that is God's promise, His word. So again, wise kids, thank you for your time, and hoping that we will grow in our faith as we believe and have courage in God. God bless you. See you again next week.